The state of Michigan just finished its annual spring assessment period, and this year there was a big change. For the first time since 2007, all juniors in the state took the SAT test as opposed to the ACT. The ACT and the SAT are both summative assessments mainly used for college acceptance and gaining a merit-based scholarship. The tests have many similarities and differences that students should take note of. Let's start with time. Both tests take a large amount of time that have optional writing sections. The SAT lasts for 3 hours and 50 minutes, while the ACT clocks in at 3 hours and 25 minutes. Now let's talk about subject matter. Though the SAT does not have a section dedicated to science, it does contain some science-related questions throughout the test. In contrast, the ACT has all of the subjects, including science, separated. Both tests do include a reading section, but it's tested differently. The SAT has 5 reading selections, and the ACT has 4. One of the largest differences among the two tests is the grading scale. The ACT runs with a 36-point scale derived from averaging each section's score, while the SAT has a 1,600-point scale that adds each section together. The questions in each test vary greatly. The SAT are harder and more complex than the questions on the ACT. They often require multiple steps to get an answer, compared to the simpler questions on the ACT. On the SAT, questions get more difficult as you move on. For the ACT, difficult questions are mixed in with the more general ones. The SAT has recently revamped its test, making some major changes, like for the first time, students will not be punished for wrong answers, just like on the ACT. Also, like the ACT, the SAT will have 4 answer choices instead of 5 like in previous years. And the reading passages will have a more complex structure and tougher vocabulary. Students will have to know multiple definitions of words. This aligns well with Michigan testing standards. Brian Whiston, the state superintendent, says Michigan switched to the SAT for a few reasons.
It was time to bid the testing, and so both ACT and SAT bid for the test. And I think SAT just offered more support programs to help students be successful. You can take online assessments leading up to the SAT, and it will tell you what you need to do to help you get a better score. So I think the decision was made not only based on lower cost, but just the services and supports that it provides. It was decided to make that change from ACT to SAT.
But don't underestimate the power of the money in the decision to change to the SAT. The state saved $15.4 million on the new contract. And students have mixed views on the testing changes.
They've been preparing us since like 3rd grade to do the ACTs, and just to switch it up our junior year, that's kind of a bit disturbing, but hopefully I do good on it. Other than that, I'm pretty excited to take it, be the first people, so.
I'm going to be able to use my SAT score to probably get scholarships into colleges and stuff, which I personally think is going to be great, and I think that it'll teach me how to adapt to definitely a new way of learning.
And there are more testing changes to come. Just weeks before MSTEP testing, lawmakers decided to eliminate the statewide test starting next year.
We're looking at what assessment students should take 3rd through 11th grade, and how we can have assessments that help teachers drive instructions, can be used by school districts in terms of teacher evaluations and state accountability. So we're going through that process to see what all the testing should be.
I prefer to take the ACT, yeah.
No, I think I like the SAT better.
Because we been training to do ACT all through high school and all through middle school even, and then they just switched on us right at the end of it. So
Yeah.
it was kind of annoying.
Well, I hadn't really done much preparation for the ACT anyway, other than what we did in school, so it didn't really make a big difference for me.
Just seeing all the classes above us take the ACT and then we had to take the SAT, we felt like we got screwed.
Yeah, I felt like I knew most of the questions. I don't know. I think if I would have practiced more SAT and less of the science for the ACT, I would have been better, but I didn't think it was too bad.
No, I don't think. I feel like my whole entire life they've been telling me ACT, and then they switched it this year to SAT, so I feel like I've been prepared for the wrong thing for many years.
I did in certain aspects, especially my language arts section, because I'm in AP Language Arts and Comp, so that's all nonfiction based, and you are judging what the other writer is doing. So you're saying how effective they are in writing a certain piece. So my language arts teacher was like, oh my gosh, this is what these kids have been doing for forever. I've taught this class for X amount of years and you finally are using it on a standardized test. So that was nice. And I felt more prepared than kids who weren't in AP. And I felt kind of bad for the kids that weren't in AP because, you know, you use these things called rhetorical strategies to explain why a writer is effective. And, you know, we learn like 30 of them when the kids who are in regular language arts learned 3. And I'm like, I feel really, my heart goes out to those kids. And I'm also in pre-calc, and my teacher, we did a bunch of preparation and bunch of like, you know, try your best to not start from the beginning and just keep going, like bounce around, skip over things that don't make sense, you know, things like that. But like kids that were in, you know, typical 11th grade math, like Algebra 2, I feel like they didn't get as much preparation. And some of the curriculum in pre-calc really transferred over to the SAT, which was another thing that I thought was kind of a disadvantage. Like, I've always been on an advanced math track, but why is someone who isn't on an advanced math track prone to do worse on a standardized test? Like, they haven't had the year of pre-calc that I have, and I feel kind of bad. Like, that's not fair to them.
Yeah, I think I was prepared because towards the end, our teachers were like bombarding us with like SAT practice.
Overall, I don't think I really noticed because I never actually tried the ACT, so I don't know the exact difference, but I've heard that it's been more complicated and it's a longer test and it just wears you out more.
They gave us more time, and I liked how it was just like no science section, and like I felt like the reading was easier to do.
Probably the essay, I'm going to say, is the biggest difference. We're not writing persuasive essays anymore. We have to basically explain why the writer writes, why he writes, or how.
Because I think the SAT has more like reading and math, and then the SAT had more like all around overall subjects, or ACT did.
Just that there isn't a science part for the SAT, which there is on the ACT.
Like the essay, for instance, I think is the biggest difference, which I really liked. Instead of writing your opinion about something, which pretty much anyone can do, you'd have to analyze an article and talk about why it was effective and why it like made a point, which I think judges kids learning a lot more better. And the math part, I guess, was different too because there were free response parts at the end. Like you actually had to write in the number of what you got, which made it more challenging. And I think the biggest difference is just how new and fresh it is and the fact that it's so close to the ACT.
Fairly well, I think. I mean, as many juniors, you know, going into the SAT or the ACT or whatever sort of test, they're usually very nervous about it, very anxious going into it, and so was I, honestly. But once it kind of kicked off and started, I felt better, like, as it went on. I felt less and less nervous, so I felt pretty good.
I think it went pretty well. You know, I studied a little bit before, so I think I did pretty good.
All right. How'd your SAT go?
That went pretty well. Oh, but at the end of it though, like we like they messed it up and they made us do everything in pencil, but it was supposed to be in pen, so we had to erase all of it and then redo it.
How do you think it went?
It went okay. I think that the math section was definitely hard, but overall I think I did decent.